I'm sorry, are we ready?
We're live.
Okay, go on.
We're live now.
I will call this, I'm calling a special meeting for the San Diego Local Agency Formation Commission protest proceedings hearing for the conditional approval of the Rainbow Municipal Water District Reorganization Wholesale Water Services, LAFCO file number RO 20-05. We will also be live streamed via our video YouTube channel. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. On behalf of Executive Officer Keen Simons, my name is Priscilla Monpower. I'm the Assistant Executive Officer for San Diego County LAFCO. I served as project manager for the Rainbow Municipal Water District Reorganization Wholesale Water Services. And today I'm serving as the delegated hearing officer. So pursuant to Government Code Section 57050, we're here today to conduct protest proceedings for the conditional approval of the Rainbow Municipal Water District Reorganization Wholesale Water Services. Notice of the protest hearing was published in the San Diego Union Tribune on Thursday, July 27th in English and in Spanish. It was noticed that the protest hearing period would commence on Friday, July 28th, and to the end of the close of today's hearing. It was also noted that it serves as an opportunity for landowners and or registered voters within the affected territory to submit or withdraw formal protests against the commission's July conditional approval of an application by Rainbow to annex into the Eastern Municipal Water District and thereby transfer wholesale water service responsibilities away from the San Diego County Water Authority. Moving on to item 2B of the agenda, availability of protest forms and or C, forms to withdraw protests and speaker slips. If you have come today to provide public comment, you will have an opportunity to do so during the public comment period to speak and for a total of 3 minutes. We do have speaker slips available towards the back, one for support, one for public comment requests, and one for opposition. When the time comes, I will officially invite you to file a written protest or withdraw your protest. And at the very end of this process, we will offer up a preliminary count of the protest already received. So as I mentioned, we have protest forms in addition to the forms to withdraw protests available up front as well, and they look like this. So with that, I'm going to move on to open it up for public comments. If I receive any, I can call on your name. You can step forward to provide testimony. And I'd like to remind you that you will have 3 minutes to speak on the protest proceeding. Seeing none, we will move on to the protest hearing. So I will begin by reading into the record the resolution of approval by the Commission on July 10th, 2023. Which conditionally approved with a 5-3 vote Rainbow Municipal Water District's reorganization of wholesale water services proposal.
Assistant EO, Priscilla, there is one public comment that we received, and that's the County Water Authority that needs to be read into the records.
That is correct. Thank you so much, Tammy, for reminding me. I'm so sorry. Look at that. Michaela Peters, our analyst, will go ahead and read the one public comment that we received by the San Diego County Water Authority. Go ahead.
This is from General Counsel David J. Edwards. Dear Mr. Simons, the San Diego County Water Authority submits these comments for the protest hearing on LAFCO's illegal and improper conditional approval of the Rainbow Municipal Water District reorganization. As the Water Authority has submitted to San Diego LAFCO many times during these proceedings, there are multiple fatal flaws of LAFCO's conditional approval of Rainbow's detachment from the Water Authority and annexation into the Eastern Municipal Water District. Among these flaws is the fact that LAFCO failed to comply with the California Environmental Quality Act in conditionally approving Rainbow's attachment and annexation by finding that the annexation would be exempt from CEQA review. Neither the so-called common sense exemption CEQA guidelines section 15061 B3 or the class 20 categorical exemption CEQA guidelines section 15320 applied to exempt Rainbow's detachment and annexation. LAFCO must rectify these errors before completing approval to the reorganization. With regards to the common sense exemption, it cannot be seen with certainty that there is no possibility that the reorganization may have a significant effect on the environment. In fact, the opposite is true. Rainbow's detachment and annexation will change both the water supply source and who delivers the water to the district. Furthermore, as the Water Authority has previously advised LAFCO, the change in water supply will necessitate the construction of new water infrastructure and change in water treatment. Chief among these required improvements are those planned to accommodate Rainbow's change in water supply owned and delivered from the Water Authority to delivery of Metropolitan Water District owned water by the Eastern Municipal Water District. This is due to the fact that Rainbow would only be receiving water at the northern end of their service area with the reorganization. For example, Rainbow would, if the detachment and annexation are completed, need to either have a portion of their new water supply treated at the Robert A. Weiss plant in city of Oceanside, which would then be delivered back to Rainbow for distribution to its customers, as is currently being contemplated by Rainbow, or construct a brand new treated water conveyance pipeline for the contemplated from the northern part of their service area to connect to the southern part for the availability to serve treated water. As part of their plan to treat water at the city of Oceanside's Weiss plant, Rainbow would need to construct a new pump station and new conveyance pipeline to service the southern portion of Rainbow's service area. Clearly, construction of a new pump station and pipeline, as well as the energy costs for newly pumping water to the city of Oceanside into Rainbow's distribution system, has the possibility of significant effects on the environment, including but not necessarily limited to air quality, biological resources, cultural and tribal cultural resources, energy, geology, and soils, greenhouse gas emissions, hazards and hazardous materials, hydrology and water quality, noise, transportation, and wildfire, as well as cumulative impacts. Indeed, Rainbow itself recognized these potential impacts by studying the proposed project in the Rainbow Municipal Water District Water and Sewer Facility Plan Draft Program Environmental Impact Report, which was published last year. Rainbow published and certified the final EIR in August 2022. As such, LAFCO is required to examine the full impacts of the proposed reorganization before completing approval of the reorganizations. Moreover, the Class 20 exemption does not apply on its face. Class 20 applies only where the changes in organization do not change the geographic area in which previously existing powers are exercised. Examples of this type of reorganization include 1, establishment of a subsidiary district, 2, consolidation of 2 or more districts having identical powers, and 3, merger with the city of the district lying entirely within the boundaries of the city. Here, the proposed attachment and reorganization would remove Rainbow from the Water Authority and annex Rainbow into an entirely different entity in an entirely different county. Claiming this type of reorganization is one that changes the geographic area in which previously existing powers are exercised, and thus the Class 20 exemption does not apply. Even if the Class 20 exemption were to apply on its face, the categorical exemptions are subject to the exceptions in CEQA guidelines section 15.300.2. Section 15.300.2C provides that a categorical exemption shall not be used for an activity where there is a reasonable possibility that the activity will have a significant effect on the environment due to unusual circumstances. As set forth above with reorganizations contemplated by CEQA guidelines section 15.320 are of the type that result in no real change in the physical boundaries or powers of the entities involved in the reorganization, nor in the infrastructure necessary to service the newly created entity. Here, the switch from Water Authority to Eastern Municipal Water District will involve an unusual change in boundaries and result in extensive unusual environmental impacts resulting from the change in water supply source, as well as the need for Rainbow to construct new infrastructure to use that new water supply from a new provider as described above. For all these reasons, San Diego LAFCO should use the opportunity of these protest proceedings to rescind its previous approvals and conduct appropriate CEQA review before taking any further action on the proposed attachment and annexation.
Well, that concludes the public comment received by the San Diego County Water Authority. We thank them for their public comments, and thank you to our Commission Clerk Tammy, who brought me back to the public comment to read that one. And then we're now going to proceed forward with agenda item number 4, which is to proceed with the protest hearing. So with that said, I'll begin with the recitals of approval. And as previously stated, I'll read into the record the resolution of approval by the Commission on July 10th, 2023, conditionally approving it with a 5-3 vote for, again, Rainbow Municipal Water District's reorganization for wholesale water services. And to begin, whereas on March 18th, 2020 and March 19th, 2020, the Rainbow Municipal Water District and Fallbrook Public Utility District respectively filed a resolution of application to initiate proceedings with the San Diego County Local Agency Formation Commission, hereinafter referred to as Commission, and pursuant to the Cortese-Knox-Hertzberg Local Government Reorganization Act of 2000. And whereas on April 28, 2020, the executive officer administratively combined the proposals for hearing purposes. And whereas each applicant seeks approval to reorganize and transfer wholesale water service responsibilities within each applicant's jurisdictional boundaries, totaling approximately 79,050 acres from the San Diego County Water Authority to Eastern Municipal Water District. And of that total acreage, the jurisdictional boundaries of Rainbow total approximately 50,857 acres. And whereas the combined proposals necessitate concurrent annexations to Eastern Municipal Water District and detachments from San Diego County Water Authority with conforming sphere of influence amendments to accommodate the jurisdictional changes. And whereas on October 24th, 2019, pursuant to Government Code Section 56.24, San Diego LAFCO entered into a memorandum of understanding with Riverside LAFCO. The MOU delegates to San Diego LAFCO the responsibility to process the combined proposals and prepare related analysis, including but not limited to a municipal service review on Eastern Municipal Water District to inform a conforming sphere of influence action. And whereas on April 2nd, 2020, pursuant to Government Code Section 56.27, County Water Authority applied for non-district status for purposes of Part 4 conducting authority proceedings of CKH as it relates to the combined proposals. Whereas on May 4th, 2020, pursuant to Government Code Section 56.128, San Diego LAFCO determined County Water Authority is not a district or special district for purposes of Part 4 conducting authority proceedings of CKH as it relates to the combined proposals resulting in protests and election proceedings taking place under County Water Authority's Principal Act, should the Commission approve Fallbrook and or Rainbow's reorganization proposal. Whereas on June 1st, 2020, San Diego LAFCO approved the establishment of an advisory committee to directly assist the executive officer in the administrative review of the combined proposals. And whereas on February 7th and March 7th, 2022, San Diego LAFCO received and approved a final report on scheduled municipal service reviews for the Fallbrook region and the local agencies operating therein, subject to the Commission's oversight. This included Fallbrook Public Utility District and Rainbow Municipal Water District. Whereas an applicable master property tax transfer agreement dated December 2nd, 1982 applies to the combined proposals. The Commission's executive officer has reviewed the proposed reorganization and prepared a report with recommendations. The report and recommendations on the proposal have been presented to the Commission in the manner provided by law. Staff published an advertisement notice of public hearing regarding this proposal in the San Diego Union Tribune and Village News on April 24th and May 4th, 2023, respectively. The Commission heard and fully considered all the evidence presented at a notice of public meeting on the proposal on June 5th, 2023 and July 10th, 2023. The Commission considered all factors required by law under Government Code Sections 56.425, Subdivision A, and 56.668, and adopted local policies and procedures. Now, therefore, the Commission does hereby resolve, determine, and order as follows. The recitals above are incorporated herein by reference. At the hearing, the Commission called for, heard, and considered all public comments by interested parties and read and considered the executive officer's report. The commission serves as responsible and lead agency under the California Environmental Quality Act in considering two distinct projects associated with the proposed reorganization and as detailed in the executive officer's report. A, the reorganization, and B, the related conforming sphere of influence action. The commission's findings follow. Rainbow's initiating actions involving the reorganization proposals position these agencies to serve as lead agencies in assessing the potential impacts, and specifically the annexation to Eastern Municipal Water District and detachment from the County Water Authority under CEQA. In their role as lead agency, Rainbow made findings that the proposal qualifies as a project, but is exempt from further review under state CEQA guidelines section 15.320. Staff independently concurs this exemption appropriately applies, given the underlying action involves the transfer of existing municipal service functions within the same area with no additional powers or expansions therein. B, San Diego LAFCO serves as lead agency under CEQA for the conforming sphere of influence actions associated with accommodating the reorganization. It is recommended the commission find the action, specifically establishing a sphere for Eastern Municipal Water District, covering its wholesale service function, to include the affected territory and concurrently remove the lands from the County Water Authority sphere, collectively qualify as a project under CEQA, but are exempt from further review under state CEQA guidelines 15.061, subsection B3. This exemption appropriately applies given it can be seen with certainty that spheres or planning policies and any associated actions in and of itself does not change the environment or authorize any new uses or services. The commission approves an amendment to Eastern's sphere of influence to include the affected territory and concurrently remove the lands from the County Water Authority sphere, as further shown within the report. The commission approves the reorganization without modifications and subject to conditions as provided. The commission conditions all approvals on the following terms being satisfied by July 10th, 2024, unless an extension is requested in writing and approved by the executive officer. A, completion of the 30-day reconsideration period under Government Code Section 56.895. B, submittal to the commission a final map and geographic description of the affected territory as approved by the commission, conforming to the requirements of the State Board of Equalization Tax Services Division. C, submittal to the commission of the following payments: a check made payable to LAFCO in the amount of $100 for the county San Diego clerk recorder to reimburse for filing CEQA notices. A check made payable to the State Board of Equalization for processing fees in the amount of $3,500. A check made payable to San Diego LAFCO in the amount of $1,439.96 to reimburse 1/2 of the cost of the public hearing notices published in the San Diego Union Tribune. A check made payable to San Diego LAFCO in the amount of $400 to reimburse for 1/2 cost of the public hearing notice published in the Village News. Within 30 days of the adoption of this resolution, the execution of obligation to indemnify and hold harmless to the fullest extent permitted by law, the commission, including its officers, agents, employees, and volunteers, from and against any and all claims, losses, costs, and expenses for any damage or injury arising out of or in connection with the combined proposals, and upon the commission's request, the deposit of funds for the defense of the commission. Such costs and expenses shall include reasonable attorney's fees due to counsel of commission's choice, expert fees, and all other expenses of litigation. Pursuant to Government Code Section 56.886, subdivision B, the commission imposes an exit fee of $15,798,250 to be paid to the County Water Authority in 5 annual installments of $3,159,650. The first payment shall be made to the County Water Authority within 30 days of the certification of the election results described below if a majority of the electorate votes in support of Rainbow's proposal. The 4 remaining annual installments of $3,159,650 for the exit fee described in 6E above shall be paid to County Water Authority on the successive yearly anniversaries of the initial payment until completed. The commission assigns a proposal the following short-term designation: Rainbow MWD Reorganization. The affected territory as designated by the commission is inhabited as defined in Government Code Section 56046. The commission delegates to the executive officer the performance of all conducting authority proceedings requirements under Government Code Section 5700 for purposes of the Eastern Municipal Water District annexation pursuant to Water Code Appendix Section 4511, Subdivision A2. The Board of Directors of Rainbow MWD shall submit to its electors at the next available general or special election the proposition of detaching from County Water Authority. The provisions of the County Water Authority Act regarding such elections in effect at the time of the executive officers issued the certificate of filing for the proposal shall govern such election. In the above referenced election, the voter shall approve the proposition of detaching from County Water Authority. The Eastern MWD is a registered voter district. Eastern MWD utilizes the County of Riverside assessment roll. The affected territory will be liable for any existing bonds, contracts, and/or obligations of the Eastern MWD as provided under Government Code Section 56328 and will be subject to any previously authorized taxes, benefit assessments, fees, or charges of Eastern MWD provided under Government Code Section 5657330, which Eastern MWD shall be authorized to assess, levy, and/or collect within its boundaries. Pursuant to Government Code Section 57202, the effective date of the approval shall be the date of recordation of the certificate of completion, but only after all terms set forth in number 6 above have been completed as attested by the executive officer. As allowed under Government Code Section 56107, the commission authorizes the executive officer to make non-substantive corrections to the resolution and address any technical defects, errors, irregularities, or omissions. Under Government Code Sections 5680 and 5682, the executive officer is hereby authorized and directed to make copies of this resolution. The executive officer is further authorized and directed to prepare, execute, and record a certificate of completion, make the required filings with the county assessor, auditor, and State Board of Equalization as required by Section 57200 of the Government Code. This resolution was passed and adopted by the Commission on July 10th, 2023 by the following vote: Desmond, Willis, Drake, White, and Vanderlyn, yes. Whitburn, Anderson, and Becker, no. Mackenzie absent, and none abstained. As attested by our Executive Officer, Keen Simons. And this concludes the resolution in action by the Commission. I'm now going to turn it over to LAFCO Commission Clerk Tamara Luckett to provide a summary of protests previously received.
WAPCO received 0 previous protest forms from any landowners or registered voters.
Thank you, Tammy.
Mhm.
We'll now move on to 4C, an invitation to file written protest or withdraw previously filed protest. Okay. So we have not received any written protests today in person. I do want to note for the record that landowners and or registered voters residing within their Rainbow service area may file the written protest today. And through the close of today's hearing, protests will be first reviewed by staff to determine the protest contain the required information, including date, signature, and addresses, and will then be validated by sending to the assessor's office and registrar of voters. Registered voter protests are submitted to the County of Registrar of Voters to verify that the protester is registered to vote within the affected territory, verify the signature, and to correlate the address with the signer. Landowner protests will be submitted to the assessor's office and are verified that the land is located within the affected territory and to value the protest in relation to the total assessed value within the affected territory. State law provides the following thresholds in measuring protest. If less than 25% of landowners or voters protest the commission's earlier approval at the close of today's hearing, then the action proceeds forward, assuming all other conditions are satisfied. If 25% to 50% of landowner or voter protests receive the commission's early approval at the close of today's hearing, then an election is called and voters decide if the action proceeds. If more than 50% of landowners or voters protest the commission's earlier approval at the close of today's hearing, then the action is terminated and goes no further. So before closing, I want to confirm for the record that we have received 0 protests prior to this hearing and today in person. And with that, I'd like to thank you for attending. This hearing is now adjourned.